Okay, we're going to do that. No, we're going to do that. So I can keep watching the little red light. Cool. Okay, so we're going to finish up last time. Your test is not next Friday because I don't want to rush. I think things are going well and I'm a little behind, but that's cool. I don't mind. I got the next shooting shortened anyway, so your text will, not text, that'll be weird. Your test is on the 14th, so it's not next Friday, but it's the following Tuesday. Okay? It'll all be on Canvas. Your notes are on Canvas. That doesn't mean that you can't use your notes because you're going to use them anyway, because I'm not going to walk around the class the whole time period. It does mean that if you're not organized, it's not going to do you any good. So you better look ahead of time. Somebody asked me last period, at the end of the period, if they were to go home and rewrite their notes, like my wife did, and kind of have like it on paper so they knew where everything was, could they use their own paper on the test? Yes, you can. So if you'd like to go home and have paper on your desk and rewrite it so you know where everything is, you can, but you don't have to. You're going to be able to use it. You get one period for the test. The fact that it's 70 minutes is not going to negatively affect you. I always build an extra time anyways. There's multiple choice. There's no true false. There's 2 different sections of the test. You'll see when you come in here, so you can take either one over, whatever you want. And you know your short answer question if you look at your review sheet. There's 2 of them. You'll have to answer 1. Okay? Just got to happen. You have to answer one of the 2 questions. All right? So that's not going to be on the 11th. It's going to be on the 14th, the following Tuesday, so I can finish and I don't have to rush, and I just don't throw like a gazillion amounts of material at you in one day and wish you good luck. So we're not going to do that. So it'll be on the 14th. Okay. We already talked about Federalist Paper 2. I would know that. If you have questions about it, I will talk about it really quickly. But you have to know Federalist Paper 2, you are going to see it on the test. I didn't mean to say that out loud. But you're going to see it on the test. Okay? So make sure you understand that. We're going to talk about Locke and Hobbes today. We're going to go back and review Plato very, very briefly. And then we are also going to talk about Aristotle today. So Locke and Hobbes, Plato and Aristotle. You have a notes quiz next time. It's on the calendar. You can use your stuff. It's a notes and reading. Did you do the homework? Do you understand what's going on? It's not a killer. You're going to have it. It's going to be timed. Let me say it again. It's going to be timed, especially because you got your devices. You can use your notes. You could have used them anyways. You can use your warm-ups. You could have used them anyways. You can use your homework. You could have used them anyways. So it doesn't make a difference to me. If you've been here and you've paid attention, it's relatively straightforward. If you haven't, it's not. If you have not looked at the review sheet, it's going to be hard. I suggest you look at the review sheet. Nick?
Have you given it to me?
I did. It's under paperwork on the very first module, the last 2. One's PDF, one is Word. So you can print it off and write on it yourself, so it's easy, or you can type in Word and save it yourself. You do not need to turn that in. I am past that. I used to collect them. That's ridiculous. You're seniors. If you want to do it, do it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. I don't care. But you have it. You have PDF or Word, so it's easier to print off. Create a multiple choice question. Your homework is 1 page tonight. It's just the front. It's a review. Today's lesson is based off the homework. Sometimes I give homework that prepares you for the next lesson, and sometimes I do the lesson and then give you homework to review it. Tonight is just the opposite of the last one. 1 page, you have to read 2.5 pages in your textbook, which is online. So 29, 30, and half of 31. Realistically, if you do a good job, shouldn't take any more than half an hour total. That's it, right? So last homework I told you big. This one, not big. All right. So I will go back and forth, but you've had your longest homework of the semester. Okay. Do I have any preguntas on Federalist Paper 2? What did John Jay say really, really quickly? What did he say about why the Constitution was created or should be created? What did he say? Who created it? Okay, they wrote it, but who created it? Who's responsible for it coming into effect, he says, or who should be? Who? This is the whole focus of it. He said that if this group doesn't approve of it, we can't have it. The people. It's got to come from the people. It can't come from the states. It didn't come from the founding fathers. They just wrote it. The people are responsible for this. We are going to come back to this over and over and over again today. There's a reason we're jumping around. Clap once. Clap twice. I wouldn't want to look at me either. Sorry. You want to pay attention today. There's like 4 or 5 test questions just on today's lesson. Stick with me. If you got questions, you better ask. If you're zoning, drink coffee. Do something. But don't do it today. You don't want to today. I'm totally telling you, you want to pay attention today. That's a good lecture. I heard somebody walk out of the last class say, that was pretty cool. I'm going to blow your mind today. I got dinner conversation for you guys about how smart some of these philosophers were. We'll be done with 4 of them by the end of the day. So the people are responsible, he says, because we're already united. If they don't approve it, we can't have it. Okay, let's keep going here. Let's talk about Locke and Hobbes. All right, let's start here. On the homework I wanted you guys to do, the very first thing I wanted you guys to do was talk about what utopia was. And utopia is an idealistic idea. So, when Sir Thomas More, the dude that wrote the book, wrote Utopia, and Utopia is about this place in South America. Yeah,
I thought you didn't assign homework last time.
I didn't. This is from 2 times ago.
Okay.
So when Sir Thomas More wrote this book, Utopia, about this place in South America that's everything's built out of gold and jewels, and it falls apart when these forests show up because greed blows it apart. There's no utopia. But it's idealistic. So who did he get this idea from? This is an idealistic society that says it can't exist. Who was he really writing to? What philosopher we already studied about that was idealistic? Plato. Plato said, look, we've got, the only way we can possibly make it work is this. This is the only thing that can work. Sir Thomas More is writing to Plato basically hundreds of years later, thousands of years later, going, no. No. That is a great idea, but it doesn't work. All right? So utopia is this idealistic, this perfect place. And really, it's just that it doesn't work. So you better come up with something that does work if you want to have a government. Okay? So he started to talk about this. He writes a book called Utopia. It's a good book. If you go take a philosophy class in college, you'll read it. It's about that big. It's one of your nicer reads in college, right? And he says this doesn't work. Idealism can't work. So you better come up with something that does. It's not going to work. Okay. What's a social contract? You should have watched the video. You should have taken the quiz. If you didn't, you have more homework. Yeah, some of you are like, darn it. Okay, what is a social contract? Go for it, Jaden.
Isn't it kind of just like where everyone in a society agrees on something, like what's right and what's wrong?
Yes. Social contract is an agreement among the people. In this case, we don't get to agree according to our social contract. We don't get to agree what's right or wrong. But we do get to agree what to do with our power. Okay? The Constitution is nothing but a social contract. It's just a codification of it. What does that mean? To codify something. Our Constitution is simply a codification of our social contract. What's that mean? Max, go for it.
Oh, I was going to say like it's kind of like set in stone, like these are the boundaries.
Why do we know it? Because it's a codification of it. So what do we do? How do we know it? How do we know what those rules and boundaries are? What do we have?
Sign that contract.
Yeah, so what do they do though? No, they didn't sign it. They wrote it. Here it is. Is it in there? Yeah, then you can do it. How do we know that the Constitution is really nothing but a social contract? It says, we the people. We agree that this is it. What about those people that are like, I don't have to listen, I wasn't there? What's that word mean? What's posterity mean? Children. Children's 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 children. How long does the Constitution go on for? Ever. It doesn't go away. It's around forever. You didn't have to be there you didn't have to vote for it in order to make it work. If you're here, you abide by it. This word and this preamble that the people there set it up, this word basically says that the United States government for the states, right? The Constitution is kind of like the mob. Meaning, you can get in, but you can't get out. That's why Lincoln said you can't punish the states. They left the Union. No, they didn't. Yeah, they did. No, they didn't. What do you mean they didn't? They can't. It's not in the Constitution. They're not allowed to. How do you punish someone for something they're not allowed to do? They didn't leave. They were bad, but they didn't leave. Because of that word. It's a social contract. We agree what we want to do with our power. Who's the benefit of that? What is the benefit of that? The what? Who gets entrusted the power? In the... So who's the beneficiary of this contract? People? Not people. The what? Someone said it. The government. Sorry, over there. This is old hearing. I thought it was here and it was over there. Government. Are we okay with this so far? I have a lot to do. I know I'm going fast and we lose 5 minutes because of lunch and I have to get to a certain point before lunch in my head. So, we okay? Give me a thumbs up if we're good so far. Does everybody understand? I'm sorry, I know it's a killer, but I make everybody do it. Does everybody understand what a social contract is? Is it an agreement between the people and the government? If you just said yes, you're wrong. Who is it? You're right. You shook your head no immediately, Vanessa. Who is it? Is it Vanessa, right? Who's the agreement between? That's it. It's an agreement among the people. High five. We okay with that? Now, I got people who are totally not focused on you. Don't do that. That could be a test question. Damn it, I said it again. Are we okay so far? Give me a thumbs up again then. Lots of thumbs up on Fridays, especially when we're getting towards lunch. Cool, all right. Whew, I'm sweating. It's good day. I love this day. This is a cool thing. All right, let's talk about Hobbes. If you did the homework from Hobbes and Locke, you're going to get this. If you didn't, you better fill it in and turn it in, but I would not continue to do this because my class is going to get harder for you. You got to do the homework. Okay. Hobbes is the first dude. I like this graphic up here, only because it kind of helps explain things. Now, there's one thing I don't like about this graphic, and the thing I don't like about this graphic is Hobbes would have used this word kings. He never would have used monarch. So if you wrote that for number one, you're going to have to change it. Okay, here we go. Hobbes says there's a social contract among the people. This is here because they're the beneficiary. Okay? So, a social contract, as Vanessa just told us, is an agreement among the people on what to do with their power. Under Hobbes' social contract, now the reason we study Hobbes, he's the very first dude to come up with that concept. And the monarchs, the kings at this time period, in the 1600s, when he wrote this book, Leviathan, did not like him. And I'll get into why in a second. Here's what he said. There's an agreement among the people on what to do with their power. So the people give, under Hobbes' social contract, they give their power to the government. I'm not going to do this yet. I'll get there. Watch. Under Hobbes' social contract, Hobbes says we give our people, that'd be weird. We give our power to the government in exchange for protection of their rights. Now, careful with this word, because Hobbes said we only have two rights. What are those two rights? You can read them to me. Someone read them to me. What are the two rights? Life and property. He's not Locke. We're entitled to two rights, life and property. Okay. I did this for a reason. I'm trying to be good. Okay. So, Hayden. Hayden's got our power because, why does Hayden have our power? Because we did what? We gave it to him because we are all entered into a what? Social contract. And his obligation is to protect our two rights. Those two rights being life and property. By the way, hint, wink, nod. Every philosopher was concerned with property. Because we're concerned with property. Are we okay with this so far? All right. Hayden has to protect our property. I just sterilized. Can I just grab the water bottle for a second? Can I? If not, I'll do something else.
No,
Okay,
you're
so
fine.
check it out. If under this deal, if I take her water bottle, I took her what? Property, which means I broke the what? Okay. We entered into a social contract to give our power to him
So the government
What is his obligation now? I broke the social contract taking her property. What has to happen to me? Why? What does he have to do to me? There's only one right he can take away.
Life.
He has to do what to me?
Kill you.
Kill me.
Oh my god.
Now, Hobbes doesn't work, but some of you are like, that's too extreme. Watch, you're going to get it in a minute why this works. Not this, that's nuts. But, check it out. Under his social contract, we have two rights. If the people give their power, they have to protect their rights. If I take her property, he has to take my,
Life.
because I, the what? Okay, I got 4 people that said it. If you get this, you're going to understand our government today. I know this seems crazy that you got to study Hobbes, but you got to study Hobbes. Say it with me. If I take her property, Hayden's got to take my, because I
Broke the social contract.
Are you okay with this?
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about what Hobbes was talking about then. Who should have the power according to the government? Notice to Hobbes. Who should have the power according to Hobbes? Okay, but he didn't call it government and he didn't call it monarch.
A sovereign.
Oh, double high five. Okay. I don't know if this is going to show up to do this. So sovereign. A sovereign should have it, not a king. Here's why not a king. Hayden's king, I don't know names yet. Alexis. I kind of know that. I'm proud of myself. Okay. Hayden's king, he dies. Hayden has a kid, Alexis. Work with me on this. And we're not going to pass this around because we can't. But watch. If we gave our power to a king, when he dies, who gets it? His child. I didn't enter into a social contract for her to get it. That's why he says sovereign. He doesn't like monarchs. Because a monarch passes the power down, and I might have given it to him, but I never what? Never get it back. Keep that in mind. We're going to come back to it. All right, we okay with the word sovereign? Cool. How does the government get its power? It's up there. What do they do with it? They give it. Okay. So the people give power. Are we okay with this concept so far? Because notice my badge, I'm not doing what with it? I'm not touching it, right? Because I gave it to him. And it's not just I gave it to him. Because we're entered into a... We good? Okay. What type of government is this? I know the answers, so you guys got to work it out. You guys got to learn to talk in class. If you're wrong, it's recording. I will not kick you. Right? But if it was a democracy, what would I be doing with my badge? I'd be holding it, because what do I do in a democracy with my power? I what? I keep it. I keep it. What kind of government is this? He's got all the power. Sovereignty is just right to rule. Keep going. If it's a republic, what would I be doing with my power? And trusting it, so it can't be that. Keep going. But he hates monarch, but we're getting towards the right thing. Because a monarch, what happens?
They
pass it down.
Dictatorship?
Okay, but in a dictatorship, now you're getting close. He would be ruling for who?
Himself.
Himself. Can't be anarchy, that's not government, that's no government. In a dictatorship, he'd be ruling for who? But under Hobbes' theory, if you read, who's he ruling for? Everyone, so it can't be a dictatorship.
Just give it to him.
No, I won't, because that's not teaching.
Is this all for the way of communism?
No, because communism is not a form of government, it's an economy. We just like to call it government because we don't like communism. Woo! But that's not it. No, it's an economy. One person. What am I in here? I'm the what figure? The teacher figure? That's weird. I hope not. Okay, keep going. No, yes, I'm totally joking.
Is it totalitarian?
No, because totalitarianism, for two reasons. One, because it'd be all him and he'd have all the power. Totalitarianism is technically impossible. All right? Because it's impossible to have total control, because I can't tell you what your favorite color is. I can tell you better tell me that your favorite color is my favorite color.
Oh,
But it's not. I can't make you believe it's your favorite color. So totalitarianism, take political philosophy in college, is technically impossible. Or theoretically impossible. No.
For other governments.
What am I? I'm the what figure in here?
Meaning figure?
I have all the what?
Power.
No, I don't have the power. I do, but that's not what I'm talking about here. Well, it's not an aristocracy, but we're getting towards the right first letter. In the classroom, you have to respect the what form of government? Authoritarian.
Oh my God.
For all you people that thought, my goodness, it's so hard, why did he make us do that? Way to read. It's an authoritarian form of government. Authoritarian means he has all the power, but who is he ruling for?
The people.
We good?
Yeah.
Why do you believe it? Because people what? Are equal? Where do you say we existed before government? In a what? He's wrong. What? In a state of nature, what are we like?
In his state of nature?
In his state of nature, what is it like?
Brutal.
It's brutal and violent. Why do we have to give up our power?
So it's
People are
not really
stupid.
that.
Because you can see.
Oh, protect our what?
Property.
Agricultural revolution.
Shut up.
Love you.
Because we're brutal. Do we get it? Okay, so we got through this last time. So we talked about, I'm just going to do a quick review for you guys because you're bringing it back, go through there, and we'll get to the next part. Elected officials, they have to get it through competitive elections. This, right, if you type this term and you talk about them being elected, that would mean these officials are trustees of our power. Right? That would make these officials trustees of our power, which means if you trust somebody with power, what can you do? I'm jumping right back in. Lunch, 35-minute break. You guys are ready? If you are trustees of power, what can you do? If someone trusts you with their power,
You can use that power,
but what if you misuse it?
then you take it.
That's the kicker here.
Hey, quick question. How many of you can name that song that plays when you guys come back in?
Probably called Welcome Back.
Okay, so now Sammy Smartass, okay. What hit show was it from? And who starred in it? And what big time actor now actually launched from that show? Oh yeah, little trivia.
Who's again?
Here comes she Googled, I like that.
He's known for doing this in another movie.
Yeah,
You got it.
John Travolta, exactly. It was Vinnie Barbarino in that.
Welcome back, Cotter, baby.
Exactly. There you go.
Every day.
I just scrolled down and found it. Wow.
Okay, do I have any questions on Locke and Hobbes or Plato? Okay, here we go. Bam. We're going to talk about Plato and Aristotle now, right? Not Plato. We're going to talk about Plato, not Plato, right? Big difference between the two. So, knowing that Plato taught Aristotle, what do you think both dudes thought of democracy? Knowing Plato taught Aristotle, what do you think both dudes thought of democracy? Not of a democracy, but of democracy, the government, right? Because in a democracy, the government, what do we do with our power? We keep it, right? We keep it. So what do you think these two dudes thought of democracy? People are selfish, so what do you think, fellow, they thought of the government? What? The government wouldn't speak up. We all got masks on. It wouldn't work. Government's not going to work. Now, the reason it's not going to work is because of something called mob rule. All right, the government's not going to work because of something called mob rule, which is majoritarian politics. Yes?
Is there any notes or anything you have to be on notes right now?
If you want to, they're under this day, and it says day 2 notes, or notes for this. You can type everything in.
Okay.
Or if you want to print stuff off, if you don't have a printer, come see me. I will print them off for you. I don't care. Or this PowerPoint is up, and you could bring it up like as a notes page, and you can type. And in the PowerPoint, I print it. I post it for you guys. I have notes in the notes section.
Okay.
So even if you weren't here, you could go back and read the couple of things I have in some of the note sections, and you could look at it, or you could go home and look at it again. So I typed some stuff in the note sections for y'all. So if you weren't here, or you can't remember what I said in some of the slides, you can go back and read my notes. But you'll have to look at the notes view of the PowerPoint, not just the slides itself. So I'm trying really hard to give you all sorts of different ways to learn. Right? Somebody asked me today if they have to take notes. No. You don't have to write stuff down. You have to type stuff. If you're a listener, listen. You do what works for you. But you can do it there, Belle. I think it's up there. It's like the 4th one down. It's just the notes. You can type on that if you want to.
Okay.
Okay, so both dudes thought democracy was bad because a true democracy, where people do what? Keep it. You all have to talk, man. You guys got to get this. I'm telling you. It's repetitive in here. I go quick. I like college, except for they don't make you do it. In a true democracy, we keep power, right? That means it's done through mob rule. And in mob rule, majoritarian politics, same thing. Don't freak out if you see that word. Majoritarian politics is the government's controlled by the minority at the expense of the few, or expense of the minority. So the majority gets to make the rules at the expense of the minority. It doesn't mean the majority is making rules to deny the minority their rights. They're making rules to benefit, Bell already told us, because we're all what? So they're making rules to benefit themselves, and if the minority suffers, this is a faction. Not a fraction. A fraction is math, wrong class. A faction, drop the R. A faction is a group of people united by a common interest who don't care about the rights of others. That's all it is. They make decisions for themselves, right? So they're going to benefit themselves. So neither guy's going to like a democracy because the people in charge are going to make decisions for themselves, and the minority always loses. They always lose. There's no benefit. So they don't like democracy. We'll get to that in a minute. These 3 guys all wrote about it. We're going to look at them in chapter 2, unit 2. Madison, Hamilton, and Jay. You already looked at Jay, right? People. We're going to look at Federalist Papers written by these dudes. One of the smartest dudes you will ever learn about. Right here, Alexander Hamilton. So smart, right? 19 years old, he's writing in papers, taking on presidents of universities about whether or not we should leave. He taught himself everything. Learned how to write, learned how to do it on his own. Cool thing. For anybody that's in it, he taught himself calculus in 3 months from a book with a tutor once a week. And then passed the test. So if you ever taking a really difficult math, imagine taking it without a teacher for 3 months, and then you pass the exam to get it. He taught himself calculus. Our entire economy is based off what that guy wrote in the 1780s and 90s. This is what he wanted our economy to look like. A big, strong government, bank, stuff like this. It's pretty amazing. We'll come back to this. But this guy was the guy that talked about mob rule a lot. He didn't like factions. He didn't like mob rule. which is why he thought we needed a constitution and a social contract so we could do this with our power, not this, and especially not this. All right, so we're going to talk about that. Third thing in the notes is what's a republic? A republic is when we entrust power. Now, China claims to be the People's Republic of China. The reason they claim to be the People's Republic of China is the government makes decisions for the people with their true interests at heart, whether or not they know it. So China says that, and he makes decisions for us, not for him. And they say you can vote in China. And then you ask the Chinese, who can you vote for? The Communist Party, the Communist Party, or the Communist Party? How is that competitive? It's not. But they're basing it a little bit on Hobbes, right? This idea the government's there for us. That's why they call themselves a republic. Would we call China a republic? Hopefully you all said no. Why not? Okay, I'm telling you next class period, I will have my sticks done. I'm just going to start calling on people. This is killing me. Why would we, the United States, not call China a republic? Number one, what am I not doing with my power? I'm not entrusting it. Right? And even if we do entrust it, what kind of elections are they not? They're not competitive. So we're like, you are not a republic. Yeah, we are. Okay, call yourself whatever you want, but we don't think you are. Are we okay with these concepts? Okay, I need nods. I know it's Friday. I know it's third period. I know you just ate lunch. I know blood is rushing to your tummy right now for that McDonald's you ate and you're going to vomit later on, but that's okay. Give me a thumbs up if we're okay with it so far. Okay. Hey, I'm going to throw the energy at you guys a lot. I'm like this all the time. I need it back. It's hard doing this. This is like a show. Right? I do 2 shows every other day. This is tiring. So you guys got to give me the energy back. Okay. So check it out. If you want to fill this out, you can fill it in your chart. All right? You've got to know this. Sorry, I must have coughed when I said that. This is big. So here's what happens here. Here's where we've got to do this. We're on time. Plato writes the Republic. All right? Plato writes the Republic, and he says there's 5 forms of government. All right? Plato writes the Republic and says there's 5 forms of government. Aristotle is taught by Plato, and he's like, that can't be right. It can't be. Because he says, look, there's only 2 ways to break down governments, all right? You can break down governments by the number of people ruling, or whether it's good or bad. Well, if that's true, and Plato writes about the number of people ruling, because it's a dialogue among 5 people who all represent different forms of government, he's like, that's wrong. That can't be. There's got to be 6. Because Plato, you basically built a chart. And this chart says if there's 3 ways to rule, 1 few, many, and good or bad, 3 times 2 is 6. Why did you only write about 5? So when he writes politics, he comes up with the 6th form of government. And he's the dude that does it. At the end of this part of the lesson, you're going to be like, that's why this dude was called the philosopher. Right? Because he did something no one had done before. Let me show you what I mean. There are 6 forms. There's aristocracy, oligarchy, democracy, polity, kingship, tyranny. He differs from Plato in that Plato says there's 5. Aristotle's like, nope, got to be 6. And so he fills in the chart when he writes his books. Now what happens here? This is the best. This is the worst. We're going to fill it in the way that he wrote. Okay? And I'm going to kind of have you guys go through this. And I'll go through it and I'll slow it down. I'll tell you what you might need to know. Hint. And we'll go from there. All right? So he starts off by saying what you want to do is write about the best form of government. Unfortunately, it's impossible. So the best form of government is what we call a kingship or a godlike ruler. All right, it's a godlike ruler. Now you know where like monarchs said, oh, divine right of kings, I got my power from God. They read Aristotle. And in this godlike ruler, go back to Hayden because he's had all the power. We give him the power but he's better than all of us, and he never, ever, ever thinks about himself. He only thinks about us. What's the likelihood somebody with all the power never thinks about themselves? 0. That's why he says it's impossible. So what Aristotle says is, you want this, but you can't have it. So the best government imaginable is a kingship. Okay? And then what he says, okay, I'm going to talk about the best. This is the best government imaginable. You want it, but you can't have it. He jumps over here. And he says, that's the worst government. And it's not imaginable. A person, I'm leaving my keys there, or my thing, a person who now is only ruling for who? Himself. He's got all the power and he treats it. This is a tyranny, a tyrant. He is going to dominate everybody because he's got all the power. Worst government. Now check it out. Check it out. Best government imaginable. You want it, but you can't have it. Worst government imaginable. You can have it, but you don't want it. We okay so far? Okay, so he's going to write like this. Watch. Best, can't have it because it's impossible. Worst, can have it, but you don't want it. Then he keeps going. Aristocracy. In an aristocracy, he says it's an educated elite. The philosophers would rule. Remember, he said it the same way Socrates and Plato said it. He would say that you want them to rule because they know that they don't know. So now instead of him ruling, it's them ruling. We okay with that concept? Okay. Check it out. Who else said the philosopher should rule? Who else said there should be philosopher kings? Plato did. Now, look what he does here, and watch my face when I do it. He says, this is the best government imaginable, but it's impossible. He said, this one is very unlikely. What's the likelihood that a group of people rule only thinking about us and never about themselves? 0. Why does he say it's very unlikely? Why doesn't he say it's impossible? If he says it's impossible, what is he saying about his boy? His teacher. He's wrong. He couldn't throw his boy under the bus. He can't say that Plato's wrong. So he says, it's very unlikely. What's he really saying? It's impossible. But he just can't do it. So, this is the best. This is the worst. That's the second best. So far, look what we got. You want it, you can't have it. You want it, you can't have it. You can have it, damn straight don't want it. We okay so far? So watch what he's doing. Oligarchy. So instead of one person having all the power, now you have an oligarchy. You have a few people ruling with self-interest. Hopefully they balance each other out. Right? So if a couple people are really bad, maybe a couple other people balance them out, stuff like that. So it's not quite as bad as one person ruling everybody. At least you hope there's a little bit of a balance. So he says that an oligarchy is better than this, but it's still not great. Right? Because you still have a bunch of selfish people ruling. So far, so good? I know I'm going fast and I'm talking. I'm sweating like a bejesus underneath here. I get it. Oh, okay, good. Did I see this? Okay. Okay, here we go. Now watch what he does. Remember, his boy said there's 5, so here's what he does. He goes, right? Where should he go? There is none. Nobody has written about this. This is his problem. So he jumps to the one that Plato writes about. What's a type of government where many people rule? Double high five. Nice. Democracy, all rule. This is mob rule. This is, let me write it again. This is majority tyranny. In majority tyranny, who's being tyrannized? The minority. In a majority tyranny, in majoritarian politics, the minority is being tyrannized. Because in a democracy, what are we doing with our power?
Keeping it.
Keeping it. We okay? I got a nod. Do I have nods from everybody else? Are we okay? Okay. On the very first day of class, not the day we did Canvas because that was horrible, on the first day we started learning, I showed you guys a video and it was Hippius history, and it talked about what these dudes thought. And in Hippius history, he said that Aristotle believed very much that in the world, you have to abide by the what? There has to be a balance. He said there's a what? But he said you have to have a what?
A balance.
But what did he call that balance? It's not silver.
Check the balance.
The golden what? The golden mean. So he goes back and remember, and there's a reason we do this. There's a reason we show that first video and I stop and I talk about it. It's right here. So Aristotle writes about this thing called the golden mean. Right? So you've got to take the good sides of both to kind of make the balance, right? Difference between crazy, like witty, and just like crazy. Watch. Are there some good things to only a few people ruling? Yeah. Quicker decisions. Hopefully they're smarter. Things get done. They balance it out. Good. Are there some good things about everybody having a say? Yeah. Everybody's ideas are represented. They feel like they have a say in the government. I wonder, do you guys have any idea where sometimes a few people rule and sometimes a lot of people rule? Anybody have any idea about that? Like where you balance a few people and everybody ruling? A republic! 2,300 years ago, he's the dude that came up with this. He called it a polity. Hence, politics, the book. Watch what he does here. He takes the best parts of this and this, oligarchy and democracy, into a golden mean to create polity. Hey, look, it's in red, it's all caps, it's bolded, and it's underlined. Gee, I wonder why. Just saying. He says this is the best possible government. He writes about a republic before anybody writes about a republic. He doesn't call it a republic. We get the idea from, Plato saying the republic. Well, check it out. Best, second best, impossible, worst, possible, some good things. Some good things. Take the middle and come up with this. And 2,300 years ago, he's the first guy that came up with there's got to be some balance between this and this. What if we come up with this and Locke did it? What if we did this? So I never let it go, but they get to use it. Right. And when you share something, what could you technically do with it? If someone's not good. Questions? Going once. Going twice. I'm going to finish. Okay, here's what I want you guys to do. I'm going to give you 1 minute. I need you to look this over. Some of you are like getting tired. Whatever you're having for lunch, don't eat it. Right? Eat something else, or don't eat as much. Peeps, I'm up here. When you cover your eyes, I know what you're doing. I've been doing this 27 years. I've been doing this 10 years longer than most of you even alive. That should tell you something. Don't cover them up. Think about what you're eating for lunch. I know it's hard in the day. I know it's hard. It's going to be tough for you guys to get used to this. By the way, this is every day. I have this much energy every day. I love teaching this class. Well, my master's is in it. Stick with me, peeps. If you're getting lost, talk to me. If you need to write stuff down, print it off. If you don't have a printer, come talk to me. I will help you. If you like PowerPoints, print them off, write on them. If you don't want to print on them, write on your PowerPoints here. You have everything in this class that I do. And now you're going to have this to go back and look at afterwards. But you've got to stick with me here. I know it's tough. I do this for two reasons.